to apologize ahead of time. I'm probably going to read most of this, but if you will please hear the words from my heart, I think I have a few little nuggets of wisdom to share. Maybe I'm qualified by now. My name is Susan Stevenson, and I'm the child care coordinator for our mom-to-mom group here at Grace, and I thought I was being very clever when I accepted the position because with this job, I'd get to help a great ministry, I'd get to play with babies and preschoolers, and I would never have to give a talk in front of a bunch of people. But things don't always go as planned. It makes me think of planning a family. My husband, Steve, and I have 4 children, ages 14, 16, 18, and 19. And if you do the math, yes, that's 4 children born in less than 6 years. It's a wonder I can still put 2 thoughts together. Some days I still wonder at that. I homeschooled our children for the past 16 years, and this is my first year of retirement from that job. When Becky asked me to speak about the gift of time, I thought how this is a topic I've considered often during the days and years that pass as I help raise our kids. So today, I want to speak to you about using the gift of time in our pursuit of loving on purpose. And I'll share a few ideas about how our gift of time relates to the seasons we're in, both with young families and during the Christmas holidays. Time is a commodity we can both give and receive. No matter which way it's flowing, we can make the most of it and use time well. Our theme this week is loving on purpose. Another term related to this is intentional loving or intentional parenting. It refers to how we build and plan our parenting choices and actions so that they meet a goal. One goal important to myself and my husband is to eventually have a strong, trusting relationship with our children once they're adults. We can use the gift of time as one way to love our children intentionally and meet a goal such as ours. To give time to our children requires some strategy, remembering to take actions and plan moments into our daily schedules, our decisions, and our activities. We don't have to make every moment or every word into a big special moment. Be careful to not put that pressure on yourself. But I think it's important to have it on our minds what our aim is in loving on purpose and to be aware when moments arrive where we have a chance to give our gift of time. We hear the terms quality and quantity in reference to time, and both concepts are important to remember. Our kids might need a very intense 1-minute hug after a tumble, or they might need a full half-hour snuggle after a hard day at school. And I find that often comes right when you're boiling the spaghetti or something's about to burn. I'm notorious for burning a grilled cheese sandwich. But that hug and that snuggle and that little bit of time is so important. Both quantity and quality matter, and it depends on current needs and situations. About a month ago, as I was starting to feel the pressures to start rushing and scurrying through the holiday season, I made a run to City Market for Thanksgiving groceries. I think it was probably my 3rd trip to the store in 2 days because I can't remember to bring lists, and I can't remember to write things on my lists. And it must have been the day right before Thanksgiving that I decided to stop because the parking lot was full. I had to park way at the far end of the row. And so, consoling myself with the positive thought that I'd increase my step count for today, thereby making allowance for pumpkin pie tomorrow. With dread filling my mind over navigating the new store layout, I looked up to see a young mom holding her tiny daughter's hand and guiding her across the street. I don't know, that mom might be here today. The little girl was very tiny, barely walking, and the mom was so patient. The little girl was dangerously curious. She would take 2 steps and then stop to pick up a pebble. And then she'd take another 3 or 4 steps. Her steps are this big. And she'd stop and explain something to her mom, and her mom would listen. And then she'd take another step, and she'd fix her boot. And all I could think was, pick her up, get her in the store. This isn't safe. But as I watched this brief scenario unfold, and how relaxed the mom was, allowing curiosity and discovery to happen while gently guiding her daughter on their errand. It occurred to me that, at least some of the time, we should all be attached to a toddler and take the time to slow down and experience their world of unrushed wonder. I know it's not always practical to move slowly, but it might be good to aim for that pace every now and then. The choice has to be made sometimes to slow down, and sometimes the slowing down is forced on us. For surgery, for injury, for having a new baby, you have to slow down. You can't just go running about on your own agenda. When our fourth child was born, I had to stay for a week in the hospital afterwards. This hit me hard because I knew, well, we were a Navy family, and I didn't have a lot of family nearby, and we really didn't have that many friends at that point, so I was very worried about 3 toddlers. Who's going to take care of them? Is my husband going to survive? But one day, one of the older nurses reminded me to soak up and treasure each little moment of my daughter's tininess because they just grow too fast. By this time, I was well aware of how very fast the days of Tiny slip away. My husband is 6'5", and the kids have never been shorter than this. So sadly, when I was in over my head and outnumbered by preschoolers, I had many days that I wished would slip by faster. I used to longingly watch the big yellow bus work its way through our neighborhood and wish that we used its service, even sometimes, one day a week, maybe. Could I? But I also knew in my heart that I would never trade the privilege to be with my kids so much. I knew I was blessed in the long run. I looked for ways to find moments to soak up memories. Sometimes it meant sitting and watching a movie with them, but actually I was intentionally watching them watch the movie. I sometimes chose to follow them closely at the playground or sit right at the poolside instead of chatting with friends. It's still amazing to me how very much kids love it when you have an eye lock on them and then you cheer when they pop back up out of the water or they balance all the way across the log. The famous line, "Hey, look at me, did you see that, Mom?" And I'm just always amazed that they want their own cheering section. We didn't have smartphones for distraction when my kids were little, and I'm so thankful because that would have been, and it is now, even with teenagers, such a temptation to play with instead of giving them my attention. I would make it a point to color a picture or read a book aloud with them while waiting for siblings to have their piano lessons, and I tried every night to be sure I hiked the stairs to their rooms and sat for 1 minute or maybe 10 minutes to tuck them in, to be a listening ear, to give a back rub, or to sing a lullaby. And some of you, blessed with non-singing voices like mine, be encouraged. My teenage kids still want to hear some of those lullabies, and I still cannot sing. Many moments add up, and now they read to me, they sit on my bed for a chat, or they enjoy a concert of my choice. Not that it's all about me now, but that relationship is there, and the time spent was worth it. Sometimes, instead of being the time giver, we need to be the time receiver. During my kids' very young years, I felt a lot of guilt over dropping all 4 kids into Sunday school or vacation Bible school. And actually today I watched one mom do what I did so often, 2 kids into the nursery. I felt like I was always taking and I was never giving. I was at a point where I would rather not attend church services or any social groups or any of those fun activities, because if I had to work in the classroom, it just meant even more work in addition to what I do at home. I expressed this one day to one of the teachers, and she graciously reminded me that it was my time to take, and someday I would know that it's my time to give. But that time wouldn't come until I could do it with happiness, and I would know when that time was. It came, and it came slowly, 1 teen at a time, when the pressures at home would ease, when I didn't have so many demands on my time and energy. During those early years, I also attended a MOPS group, that's Mothers of Preschoolers, and it's very similar to this group. Initially, my main attraction to the group was that I got to sit undistracted with no demands for 2 hours. The group was huge. It was probably at least 4 times the size of this group. And so I really could get lost in it, and I'm a little bit of an introvert. And so sometimes I just sat at the table and sat there, and it was so nice. It was so pleasant. Eventually, I found friends and connections with other fun, exhausted, and interesting women. It was time for me to fill my energy tank, so to speak. I purposely found ways to meet my own needs for quiet, for social interaction, exercise, etc., that would give me the ability and energy to, in turn, give time to my family. Another great way to fill my tank is to read my Bible for guidance and encouragement. A famous gem of wisdom found in Ecclesiastes 3 is as follows, and I have to put a side note here. I've left some of the passage out, and I tacked on some of my mom commentary, things that it makes me think of when I read it. For everything there is a season, and a time for every matter under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to harvest, such as teaching our kids when they're young and then watching them succeed as they get older. A time to break down and a time to build, playing with my babies, knocking down and building block towers. A time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance. And here I might cry. I wasn't going to do this. I remember my daughters dancing hula for my parents in our home in Hawaii. And my mom and dad would come and stay for months at a time and help out because my husband was gone so much. And my dad just passed away this fall. So that's a very bittersweet memory for me, the dancing part. Okay, cast away stones and a time to gather stones. Teaching littles when it's okay to throw rocks and when it's not. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. So my son is 16 and he loves having a hug at home, but not so much in the school hallways. A time to seek and a time to lose. That brings back a few bad memories of lost kids. And yes, they do walk away, and yes, they do get lost, so don't feel big guilt over that. A time to terror and a time to sow. A time to keep silence and a time to speak. Sometimes our kids just need to be heard without advice. A time to love and a time to hate. A time for war and a time for peace. Sibling rivalry? I think about war and peace in our home sometimes. As a little side note on the part about a time to speak, I think it's important to be aware of the words and vocabulary that we use. When my kids were about half their current ages and we were getting signed up for soccer and swim lessons and lawn club and piano and dance lessons and all the other little activities that kids do, I would so often hear myself telling them, "Hurry up, we're going to get in the car, hurry up." And I started to hear myself saying the word hurry often. I had to think, well, we homeschool. We supposedly are more in control of our daily schedule, but I would overplan, and I would notice our schedule getting overbooked, and then there we were in a rush. Well, I still have to check myself on this one, because this morning I caught myself saying it to my dog. He just looked at me, and as if, I don't know that word. Hurry is not in his vocabulary. As the years pass and situations have changed, I continue to choose and make those intentional decisions that will help give us the gift of time and the ability to give time. Fast forward 10 years, and now we have yellow bus privileges, and here's my choice. I choose to have a different day than the one I would selfishly choose. So here's my idea of the perfect morning. I maybe make my daughter's lunch. I help load her up with her backpack, trumpet, and gym bag, and then I kiss her out the front door on her way to the bus stop. Then I curl up in a chair by the fire with my coffee and a good book. Well, I don't know if that's actually ever happened. Instead, what I tried to make happen looks more like this. I help pack the lunch and feed the dog. I bundle up in my walking clothes, warm up in the car, and hop in with her on our morning drive into school and exercise. The exercise is for my benefit because I want to be healthy and able to keep up with her bundle of energy. I also choose this different morning picture because it's a precious time of undistracted chatting where I can listen to her fun friend stories and frustrating teacher trials and either console or advise or cheer or just quietly listen. She has read books to me in 15 minutes at a time. This bit of time is carved out, managed, and planned very intentionally because it's time I can give her that builds a relationship that will hopefully one day be a friendship. Giving the gift of time requires so many purposeful choices, daily, yearly, and sometimes just moment by moment. Don't stress yourself out by trying to plan the big and meaningful moments that will only sap your energy and overload the family schedule. Instead, may I suggest you start with simply being aware of when the very important moments arrive. Think before you speak so that your words and ideas aren't rushed. Satisfy yourself with the small successes, the tuck-in at bedtime, the together time waiting at the bus stop, putting the phone in your pocket to hear a school day story, or eating dinner together. These are the regular little gifts that build and show love that you can regularly give as your gift of time. I was recently had some time forced upon me, and my teenage daughter suggested, why don't you watch the Office series? I'm not much of a TV watcher, so double forced time and TV. And so I watched it. And there was a quote by one of the characters, Andy Bernard, and he said, I wish there was a way to know you're in the good old days before you actually left them. Well, moms, we are living the good old days right now, and there's no better time than now to bless those days by loving your family on purpose and giving them a gift that they'll treasure forever. And so today, so that your giving tank is full, we in the childcare end of the building want to bless you deeply with our gift of time to you. Enjoy the rest of your meeting as you ponder, plan, and enjoy your gift giving of time this season. Merry Christmas.